Hello, awesome people. I hope you are having a great day today. So today I wanted to take a look at my top five. I previously did my top videos of games that were published that were sequels to video games that were published in the last 5 years. And now we're going to start taking a look at my top video games that were published. And this will be the first list, and the second list will be next week from 10 to 1 for you folks. Now, I could do a top 20. But I don't really feel like I encountered 20 good games, and I'd rather have just a list of games that I liked and thought were good, rather than, so forth. So I got a top 16. Now, I could divide that in 2 8s, but that doesn't feel particularly great, right? So I got an honorable mention and then 7 stuff. And then from another 16 to number 1. 11 rather, on today's list. Now, as a reminder, in order to make my lists, I have a top 100 overall, which we'll do probably here soon. In order to make my lists, this needs a few things. Number one, it needs to be a game in a series that has not already charted. Now, there will be some sequels here for series that did not chart. That's true. It happens all the time. But, so for example, football, Front Office Football 8 had a sequel published December last year, about 12 months ago. So that game will not be charting, even though that game hits it on the top 100. Makes sense? So previously charting games and series will not chart. Make sense? And my common reason for that I like to give is Madden, right? Madden is a great game. It has a huge number of things, but it has very few changes from game to game to game, right? So if I were to give Madden 8 or 9, 10 spots, right, you might be like, it's the Madden show rather than, an actual proper top video games. Madden should be on somebody's top 100 video games, right, if they played it. But I just only have the one Madden where they introduced career mode. Franchise mode rather. So you can play your teams and make trades and do the draft and that sort of thing. Good stuff. So Madden does make my list, right? But not like 8 or 9 or 10 Maddens. Or 2 or 3 Front Office Footballs. Or, you get that idea, right? Now, some games are going to be contentious, like which Final Fantasy makes the list, which Zelda makes the list, those sorts of things, right? So there are some that I think are contentious, but that's the key idea, right? And such. Also, I have been doing top 5 posts online on Front Office Football Central of the things in the last 5 years and so forth. So if a series was made it there, then it also counts. Also, if it no longer hits my top 100 because it rotated off as more stuff got added on, it still counts. I'm not going to give it a shout out either. Make sense? So the things that are sequels here are new things that have not charted previously in any of my previous things. Make sense? All right, so there's a few caveats to get out of the way. All right, so now we're going to start my honorable mention, which is basically number 17. For folks, this is a space-based Startopia. This is a remaking. The original Startopia from the early 2000s was incredibly good. Loved it lots. And I thought about having it as one of my final third back in about 10 years ago or so. Actually, probably like 15 years ago, when I was doing my top 100 video games. It was like on my short list as a game to really, really push out there. Startopia basically is you are creating a space station in space. It's got a lot of fun stuff. And when I say fun, I mean like comedic, comic elements, that sort of thing. It doesn't take itself too seriously in this creation system. Every different race has different needs, different concepts, different space requirements, like different entertainment, different foods, and that sort of thing. And they can have different jobs on your station too. Well, this game that came out a few years ago is basically a redoing of that game system, if you will, but it doesn't add a lot. A lot of Startopia fans aren't happy because they say it went too far, and a lot of them aren't happy because they say it hasn't gone far enough, or some of them say it isn't the best game ever. Right? And so forth. So that's why it's hitting back here on my honorable mention, because it's not really a re-encountering of that concepts and so forth. And I feel like what it does on the third floor and so forth, where you're going and so forth, isn't as good when the changes that they made as the original one, but it's hitting here because it's good stuff. But as an honorable mention, makes sense. All right, now the top 16 overall, number 16 is actually a very good game. And if it were less pricey, it would be a top 10 game easy. And I don't think it'd be as contentious. And that's Warhammer Age of Sigmar Realms of Ruin for you folks. The Warhammer Age of Sigmar has been out for a few years. This is a retelling of the Warhammer setting after some things have changed. They pushed the genre forward with a few apocalyptic events and that sort of thing. But there haven't really been a lot of video games based on this. And this is a real-time strategy RTS game. Classic. You're moving units, capturing things, building buildings, that sort of thing, upgrading, doing research, that sort of thing, right? So that's basically the key concepts of it. And so it is all of that, right? And a real-time strategy was a big fan. A lot of people really like it. They wanted to sort of reinvigorate the real-time strategy genre. For the modern people, it has some more. I played it on PC, but it is very, very playable on consoles and stuff too, and on like for PlayStation 5 and such. It has a UI specifically designed for it, or also mobiles. I think like mobile devices, like a phone or something like that, would also be pretty good too. With it, all I have played there either. So it's trying to make it more universal and friendly to everybody and such. I think that's good. But then it doesn't, and then you have 4 different factions that you can play that are different units, different strengths and weaknesses, and that sort of a thing, right? And so one has great range units, one has great cheap units, like Zergs. One has very, very strong units, but they're very pricey. That's the humans. That sort of thing. Makes sense? Makes sense. And so those are the 4 different. So there's orcs, chaos, and undead, and the humans. Those are the 4 factions. Now, so basically, a lot of people. I played the career mode, loved it lots, but it wasn't exactly the most detailed or intricate game ever. So but it's good. It's a fun game, but it's not a $60 game, right? And many people have said the game was actually not that bad in the comments of this when you look it up in the Steam. But the issues are that it costs too much, right? And $60 for this game feels a little light, right? Again, it feels more like a console or a mobile game. So I think $20 would have been fine, maybe $25, right, for a lot of folks. So that's why it's hitting back here at the number 16 spot because of the cost. But if you could pick it up for a sale for like a third of that, I don't know if it's available right now or not. I haven't looked it up. First in the Steam sale, it's possible too. But there you are. So that is the second game, number 16. Now the top 15. Number 15 is Chef for you folks. Chef is a great game. I really like this with the DLCs too. The DLCs in my mind really put it on the map in a major way. So basically, this is a restaurant tycoon video game. You're running restaurants. You have a few different modes. You can run like a career mode or a sandbox mode and that sort of a thing. You have to design a menu. You can choose different items to put in your food. And so there are some defaults if you don't want to do it. But if you want to save money, you can combine. So for example, if you're getting noodles, spaghetti noodles for spaghetti, then maybe you also want to use it for a noodle dish that doesn't have anything, right? That's a good thing. In order to save costs and so forth, you can have and then you can add barbecue stuff, pizzas, Asian food, and that sort of a thing were all added with the 2 expansions. Love it lots. And so that's Chef. Chef is a strong tycoon game, but I don't feel like after the sandbox mode, you got to hire staff, you got to pay them, lots of stuff like that. And after playing it for a few hours, you kind of will finish it out. It's not as deep as some games might be, although it's a tycoon game. What are you expecting? But I like it a lot. So that's number 15, Chef. Number 14 is also a tycoon game too. It's Festival Tycoon. This was originally hitting number 5 when I first created my list, but a lot of games have been added since then. But basically what you're doing here is it's more of a unique tycoon game. Like the previous one, Chef, Restaurant Tycoons. Restaurant Tycoons feel pretty obvious. Here you're creating a music festival. So you have to choose a venue, sell tickets, set up things like benches and tent places for people to tenting and camping with, or like mobile homes for folks that want to bring in trailers and that sort of thing. Or you can even rent apartments and condos, which will pay a lot of money. for folks. You gotta hire staff. You gotta hire waste baskets. Waste enough places for people to shower, shower stalls, and places to go to the bathroom, that sort of a thing. Places for them to eat and drink. Places for them to shop, that sort of a thing. So you're setting up a festival for a couple of days, and then you have to set up stages and venues, and people will need different things based on how many stars and how popular they are. Various groups that you bring in different groups will have different specializations too. So you can have a music group or a funk group and that sort of thing, stock, or rock concert, electronic, that sort of thing. Folk is all sorts of things and such there too. And then also you can set it up and then what hours they're playing, and different ones will have different ones, and then different bands will have different needs too, like different places to hang out, different foods, different trailers, that sort of thing, right? It's a great game. And it's Festival Tycoon number 14, for you folks on number 13, 2 Point Campus. I didn't play 2 Point Hospital until after this. So I can't call 2 Point Hospital a better game, although I have played it a few hours here and there, but I don't think this is as good as 2 Point Campus. A new game is coming up, 2 Point Museum, in a couple of months. 2 Point Campus basically is a sim where so number 13, 2 Point Campus, is basically set in a comedic concept, like you got night school, but instead of like nights, it's like nights on horseback with fighting, with jousts and stuff like that, right? So it's got some mix up. It's got a couple DLCs too that are nice and fun that add different things. Like for example, one is a wizarding school, which is great and fun too. I love it lots. And so you have a food school and so forth. So you're basically setting up a number of different schools, each with different specialties, different courses that you're offering. You have to have different classrooms, libraries, that sort of a thing, for all these different things you have to set up. So you have to have teachers, you have to have bosses, and that sort of a thing. For it, love it lots. That's 2 Point Campus, hitting number 13 for you folks. And number 12 is Surviving the Aftermath. Now, Surviving Mars was a game I played. It was published by one of my favorite publishers, Paradox. Love it lots. It's my favorite modern genre. And Surviving Mars made my previous 5 games. And so forth, and I liked it lots. But this one does have the same name, but it's a completely different games concept. It's a different title. It's a different concept in Surviving the Aftermath. Here it's set on Earth, and it is a hard game, and so forth. But my major issue with it is that I played it a lot in the early eras, in early access, and the game has changed ever since that, and so forth. I haven't played it like last year, but the last time I played it, one of the major issues with it is that you have to choose which path of tech you can have. You can't unlock the other techs, whereas in the early access, you could basically do all of the techs, and so forth. You during missions to acquire different supplies and fight people on the map and gather their stuff afterwards, or restoring cars. It's a post-apocalyptic, great little bit, base builder. And town builder too, so that's pretty good. I like it lots. It's a very fun game. I think Surviving Mars is probably the better game, especially with the DLCs. I think that Surviving Mars is probably the better game, but they're also by different initial studios and such. And this one is by a different studio, but published by Paradox. And now number 11 is made by the studio that made Surviving Mars, Him Games, and that's number 11, Stranded: Alien Dawn. For you folks. So basically, I found this out because I was like, I really like Surviving Mars, and I wanted to look and see what else this company from the Balkans had published and such. And so I checked it out, and this was a game that was published recently. And so basically what's happening is that your spaceship has crashed. You have a number of people with some stuff and supplies on board, and so forth. And now you can rebuild a colony on an alien planet. Each alien planet is different. Randomly, so it might have different supplies, different enemies, and that sort of thing. You have to build up and around. I think it's great stuff. I think it's pretty strong stuff. So the basic idea of surviving and so forth after spaceship craft is great. You can choose what your mission was, and so that'll change like what kind of spaceship you'll have that crashed, what kind of supplies you'll have, what kind of crew you'll have, what the number of them will be, that sort of a thing. Right? So it's good stuff. Love it lots. But it's pretty hostile planet. Got to fight a lot of different things, buy weapons, get wet armor, and that sort of a thing, buy clothes, set up a lot of different infrastructure in this town building and such. And so that's number 11, Stranded Alien Dawn by Hammond Games too. That's my number 11 game. All right, so let's go back and take a look at this list. My first honorable mention, or basically number 17, if you will, is Space Stratotopia. And number 16 is Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Realms of Ruin by the company that made, by Frontier Games, the company that made Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo. Number 15 is Chef by you folks. It's the Restaurant Tycoon game. Number 14 is the Festival Tycoon game named, ironically enough, Festival Tycoon. Number 13 is the 2 Point Campus by the 2 Points, set in 2 Point Universe. It's made by the UK with the UK's concepts of humor. Number 12 is Surviving the Aftermath, published by Paradox. And number 11 is Stranded Alien Dawn, made by Hammond Games over in Bulgaria. I think it's in Bulgaria. So there you are. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. So there are my first ones prior to getting to number from 10 to 1. Proper for you folks. So have you read these or played each other? If so, what did you think about them? Did you agree or disagree that these games should be on the list, that they should be in this order, and so forth? If you haven't, check them out. Let me know what you think about them in the comments below. Remember the prices on these might be a little cheaper right now because of the sale for the season and so forth. So check it out and see what you can find and that sort of thing. But there you are. I hope you enjoyed it and so forth. Remember, it's just my list, right? I'm not a trained critic. I don't play video games for, as a living or rate them, that sort of thing. So I'm just a fan of video games, right? So your mileage may vary, right? Not a problem. Your list could be totally different, right? Just let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below these games, if you played them. Thoughts the last 5 years for you folks. And then if you like this video, why not hit that subscribe button, the like button, the bell icon if you're feeling frisky to be notified of my various videos, because next week we're going to be publishing my next top 10 video game from the last 5 years, just like I did my previous video game sequels to top 100 games and that sort of a thing. And I've also done like my top roguelike games on this day on every Wednesday. Try to do a video game thing. I've done my Pathfinder review. I try to do a video game review every Wednesday for you folks. And so this is the next one. So go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, the bell icon, that sort of a thing. And then let your friends know, video game friends, right? Modern game friends, whatever. And so forth. Love for them to watch this video too. Thanks. And then, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it in watching my video, right? Because we all have so many things that are happening, right, in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spend this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it so much. So thanks again. And then, as a reminder, this channel is named The Worst Thing About New Books. It's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old ones, in this case the older video games that might have been influential and that sort of a thing. So I enjoy going back to that sort of thing and such. And so there you are. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. Once again, thanks and have an amazing day.